Hello everyone, this is Flora and this is my web technology lab experiment number 6. Today we'll be using JavaScript timer functions and objects. So what we have to do is we have set of 5 questions. First one is to write a JavaScript code to display digital clock. So what are timer functions that are used in JavaScript is set time interval and set timeout. So what happens in set time interval is we can call a function repeatedly for after a particular interval of time. So the syntax is set time interval, call the function repeatedly after a particular period of time, n number of times. And set time out is it can set itself out after a limited period of time. Now to do a digital clock, what we have to do is to get the hours and minutes for every second. So how do we do this? Uh, we have to use a set time interval, call the function display. Now what has happened in a function display is it creates a new object for data, and that data object has has hours, minutes and seconds in it. And how could we retrieve it? We retrieve it using dot get hours, dot get minutes and dot get seconds. So a demo of this is here. So digital clock, you see the time right now is 12:54 a.m. So that can be seen. And after every second, after every 60 millisecond, there's a change in second. And if you see after every 60 seconds, there'll be a change in minute. Similarly, it will keep on happening. Now, our next question is to write a Java code to change background color for every 30 seconds. That is, we have to call the function which would change the background color after every 30 seconds, a dynamic background. So over here what we use is we have three colors: red, green, blue. Yeah, and we use the RGB colors. We change it. We use a math.random function. So now you wonder why math.random function? So that we don't get a one particular color every time. Math.random function, it would choose any number from 0 to 255, assign the value for this particular, whether it's for green, red, green or blue, and that would combine form a color in RGBA format, which would be changed continuously for every interval of time. Now see, the time interval is 200 to the 2000 milliseconds. So after every 2000 milliseconds there will be a change in background color. Now if we want 30 milliseconds, so we can have 3000 milliseconds or 300 milliseconds, as in when you can change the interval of occurrence. Now why is it body 0? Is because this returns an array of elements. So we just want to use the body of the HTML tag. So the demo for this is the code. Sorry, it's HTML and 6b. So if you see, there is a dynamic background. There will be a color change after every 30 seconds. You have darker yellow, then it turns to gray and all that. Now our next question is to create event handlers that will increase the font size when a mouse moves over a paragraph. So when a mouse moves out of the paragraph, the size would decrease. So how do we do that? We have two functions over here, to increase size, to decrease size, and we have inbuilt function called on mouse over and mouse out. When we use on mouse over, when we move our cursor over it, there is an increase in size. If you see, the style is changed when we use a mouse over. We increase the font size to 50, but when we use mouse out, we decrease it to 20. So demonstration of this is if you see, if we have mouse, this is the normal font size, but if we move our cursor over the sentence, we could see there's a zoom in of the sentence, and if we just move the cursor out, there won't be any change. Now next question for us is to write a Java code to move absolutely position car image when a user clicks the move button, and stop it when it stops the button, presses the stop button. So what we have to do is we have a image car. So for example, over here we have an image car. We with ID my image. We retrieve that image. We save it in a variable. What we do is we make this variable position relative. So every new time it changes its location, it looks back to where it was previous, and it moves. You can move it in the top, in the bottom, in the left. I have moved it in the left position, towards the right. So I have assigned the car to move from the extreme left, therefore 0 pixel. We can even move it from 10 pixel, 20 pixel, whatever is it. So what it happens is we call a function called move right. So the car starts moving right. It retrieves the position where it is using style dot left, whatever the position it is, and it passes the integer value of it, then it adds 10 more pixel to it, and that is used now as the new location to move. And we use time interval function. If you see here, uh, this function would call itself. So it calls move right, and then again this time set timeout, but there's again a call in move right. So it moves for 10 position, then it would again call itself, and it again moves after 200 seconds. It moves itself, and there is a linear motion to it. So when does it stop? Now there is another function called stop. So when we press the button stop, we clear the timeout. Now what is clearing the timeout? Clearing timeout is a method which clears the timer set with the timeout method. So timeout method is used to set an interval, a set interval, after which repeatedly the car could be called. So clear timeout will stop the timer, and the position would be stop, and the position will halt, and we can move it back to the initial position. So demonstration for this is, we have a car. We click the start button, the car starts moving linearly. Now if we press the stop button, it would come back. If we don't want it to come back to its position, we can purely remove it back out and just stop wherever it is. So if we start it, and if we just want to stop, so it will just stop it as it returns back. Now next question that we have is to create an array of objects where each object describes a book, and each object have the properties of a book, and we have to retrieve it in the following book title by author name, and whether it is published before 1980 or after 1980. So we're gonna use Java objects. So sorry, JavaScript objects. So like any object, you declare the variable name, and then you have its attributes, maybe property 1, property 2, property 3. Here we have two details, one for mathematics, one for physics. We can increase the count size. So when we have the properties of this, now how do we retrieve it? Like any other programming language, we can use a for while loop, or for each loop, any of the loops, and retrieve the data one by one. And this is used to give us space, one space distance. And over here, like any languages, we can use uh, conditional statements to check the properties and decide whether it lies in a particular range. So demonstration for this would be, um, okay, so when we have so when we set the, so how do we do this? So this is a demo. We get details of all this. We had an error. So why was that? Was because we had a div tag after the script. So the div couldn't be loaded. If at all we keep a div tag after the script, then we'll have to use window.onload function. So then we have this output. Thank you.